Welcome everyone to this special event of the Authors Forum. This is the January event, and listen, today is gonna be on and popping. It's gonna be great. It's like you putting a popcorn in the microwave. It's already popping. I tell ya. So we're gonna go straight to the business of the day. But first of all, I want to acknowledge every one of you that has joining us, and everyone that will still join. We want to say thank you, and everyone that will be listening to this is gonna be recorded and put on YouTube, and many people is gonna get it. And I want you to know that we appreciate you. We value your time of coming. And also, we want to celebrate, especially Dr. Kenisha. And Dr. Kenisha, we appreciate your passion. Every time we see you on stage, you always have that spark in your face. You have that bouncing on your feet. You have the spring. And that is what is really evident in what we're going to experience today. So without wasting time, I'm going to start with you because we want to really learn from you. I'm hungry to learn. And Dale Carnegie said something. He said, only knowledge that is used sticks in your mind. And I believe that what we're going to learn from you today will be put into utilization so that we can have that retention, because I've watched you, I've seen you coming out with books. Even though I'm writing books, I want to learn. I want to see what other people are doing. I'm working on number 12 now. I need inspiration, so and there's no arrival in this journey, and we can only strive to be a better version of ourselves. So, Dr. Kenisha, we just want to welcome you. So, say something about yourself, in case some people that are encountering you for the first time, we have a global audience. So, I just want to just welcome Dr. Kenisha. Just unmute yourself, ma'am, and just say something about yourself. Who is Dr. Kenisha? I know we all know you. A lion doesn't need introduction. But just introduce yourself so maybe someone will be encountering you for the first time. Thank you.
Yes, well, first of all, let me just say thank you, Dr. Michael, for inviting me to your platform. I
You're
am
welcome.
so grateful to be here. He's my friend, right? He's my brother from another mother. We're on the
Yeah.
same Maxwell team, so he's doing big things.
Yeah.
So again, Dr. Kenisha Williams, I spent 22 years in public education from
Mm,
teacher, assistant principal, and principal. So I
mm,
was a principal for 13 years at my own school.
mm,
I joined the John Maxwell team probably in my 18th or 19th or 20th year, something like that. And
mm,
and thought, oh my gosh, like these are my people. I don't even know what that means, but I know that's them. And I knew that there was something more in me, right? Other than just being in education. Was on the team for a few years, found my theme that I always knew was there. I just wasn't able to put my finger on it. And then left, retired 22 years after being in public education. Now, let me define
mm,
retirement. 47 with no pension. Retirement, and they said you can get a pension in 10 years, but right now you're
mm,
too young. But I
mm,
left anyway because there was a dream inside of me that was
mm.
bigger than just what money could provide. So
Yeah.
left with no money, nothing in the bank, right? But I knew that there was passion and vision. And then
Mm,
now I service my own company, Transformation Training and Development, where I go around the world and I add value to people by way of speaking, by way of motivating, training. I
mm,
write books. I also preach, teach, right?
mm,
Anything that deals with communication,
mm,
that's the gifting that God has graced me with. And I'm
mm,
super, super humbled to be able to serve the world at that
mm.
capacity.
Wow, Dr. Kadesha, you know what? You have a heart of a leader, which is service. I can tell. I knew when you took that transition because I was one of your AP then, and Miss Michelle. I knew that when you would want to make that shift, I was in the room at that time, and I realized how the Lord has honored and blessed that motive,
Mm,
which is pure, which is
mm,
basically on
mm,
serving people. And one thing that really inspired me about you that many people did not know, this is not the focus for today, is I saw your picture, how you went through that in your 30s. I said, wow, is this Dr. Kenisha? How you went through that weight loss? I said, wow. I mean, when I showed it to my wife, she said, no, that can't be Dr. Kenisha. I said, that is Dr. Kenisha, but you seen the new version. And she was really inspired.
yeah.
And I see how many people you have inspired by your exemplary leadership. Today, we're
Mm,
focusing on your book writing journey. And how many books have you written, Dr. Kenisha, since you
So
started
I
this?
want to say I've got 10 on the market with more
Woo!
to come out. At least two will come out today. There's a strategy. We'll get into that. But I believe there's 10 children and adults books within
Mm.
there's journal, within their coloring book. And so super honored to to have put out that type of value.
Wow, that's awesome. That's double digit. I remember, I crossed that double digit on my birthday last year, and I had a book shower. People have baby shower, so I had a book shower. That was September 21, and
Oh,
this was my double digit book. That was the 10th one when I
oh,
crossed that
I
mark.
love
So it
it.
was because it was something special. That
Yeah.
double digit was something special. Like, wow, this is one celebration. So I had a celebration of my birthday for my
Uh,
for my 10th book, and the Lord has helped me. The 11th one also came out before Thanksgiving. And today we want to mention how can you just describe, because a lot of people are listening to you right now. I can talk about Coach Tiffany. She reached out to me. She has the book in her. And I walk her through the process that I've been through. And guess what? She sent me a message about a few days ago that her book got published. I said, "How do you feel?" She said, "I feel great." It's like having a baby. So talk to us. What really led to you? What led to that? What motivates you to write a book? I was listening to Dr. John Maxwell, our mentor, and he said someone challenged him to write a book, that there's some people that you will meet physically that the book will be able to really add value to them. So what was your own motivation when you started this book writing? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that question. So my angle really was, so I'm a communicator. And
Mm,
I'm a communicator in multiple facets and fashions. So
mm,
I didn't just say, oh, I want to write a book for
mm.
writing a book's sake. There was a message that was in me. And actually, my first books came out in a set of three. It was
What?
children's books, and then it was a diversity set. So with all of my years in education, we
Mm,
didn't see a lot of Black and brown faces, right?
mm,
We're much better now, still not where we need to be. So I thought, how can I now communicate this and get
mm,
this message out to the world so we can have some Black and brown faces notice themselves in curriculum, but also not just for them, for everyone to be able to respect, right? To gather and to love and understand that diversity is important. So the set was I Know Me, and it's a picture of me when I was a little girl. So it's telling my
mm,
story.
mm,
And then the second one is I See You, because if we stop at I Know Me, then now that is prideful. So then the second
mm,
one is I See You, which is now about kids recognizing everyone else. Uh,
mm,
but if we stay there, then we idolize. So step
mm,
one, we're prideful. The second one, we idolize. But the third one is called I Appreciate We. And
mm,
that's where it's really about we're better together. So that's the series, Better Together. And that message to me was very important because I was an educator at the elementary level. So I could have
mm,
anywhere between 4 to 12-year-olds at my school. And those are those formative years. So if I'm in the classroom and I'm not seeing myself reflected anywhere, then
mm,
then then somehow subconsciously it's like, do I even matter? But then
mm,
on the other side, for everyone else, I needed
mm,
them to see some other faces. So you'll notice in my second and third book in that series, you'll notice a diversity of kids. I've got one of the little girls, Lin Chun, right? And she's in the
mm,
wheelchair. She's from another country. And I've got someone else that speaks another language, someone from Mexico. And I did that with intentionality because when we can get outside of ourselves and foster appreciation for me, for you, and then
mm,
us together, that's what's going to change this world. And my
mm,
business tagline is change you, then we
mm.
change the world. So it was
Wow.
more about communicating that message rather than
Mm.
writing a book. But that was the way for me to get that message out in a way that was bigger than just my school with my staff and my kids.
Wow. Wow. That was awesome. That was great. So when did you wrote your first book?
Yeah. So those books came out in 2021. However, if you talk to some people, they could say, no, Kenisha, it was back in 2014 when you did your dissertation. So my dissertation, and you know this, Dr. Michael, it was 240 pages, I think, 8.5. right? Like not double space, single space, words this big. I want to say it's about 240 pages. So and that again was a passion. Yes, I was getting a degree, but my topic, I was so encompassed about this notion of transformational leadership. I was just
Mm,
going, right? And so again, it was a message that there was a gap that needed to be closed. So,
mm,
so that work I actually published in a book in 2022, right?
mm,
So
mm.
technically, I did that in 2014, but it was just dissertation format.
Yeah.
2021, I released a 3 with the children's series, and then I was encouraged, go back and get that work, change it up a little bit, right? And add some stories because it can be a little dense, right? You know how
Mm,
dissertations are, and
yeah.
so added some stories, and then I released that transformational leadership, journeying through the phases, right, of leadership. That came out in 2022.
Wow, that was awesome. Oh, this is great. I think you remind me of Stephen R. Covey,
Uh-huh.
because the book Seven Habits was actually his dissertation for his yeah, that
Uh-huh.
was his doctorate dissertation. And
Ah,
that book has really because it shows that when you are doing your dissertation, it was you were able to tap into your passion, which
yes.
has translated in changing so many lives.
Yeah. Can
And
I connect that to book writing and titles?
yeah, sure.
So I was the last person in my cohort getting my dissertation to get their topic, right? And
Mm,
I'm on topic, just track with me. Because I was the principal, but I'm like, I don't want to talk about discipline and how to get
mm,
African American kids to be like that wasn't hitting it for me.
mm,
And so then when I got this notion of transformational leadership, then I connected that to ministry and churches, and like the light bulb came on. And I'm like,
mm,
okay, that will drive me. It's the same thing when deciding, well, what do I write about? What's my topic?
mm,
What's changed your life? Like,
mm,
what is it that you can talk about,
mm,
communicate about all day long because it means something? That's your book. It's not
mm,
just reporting research and details. I mean, that's great, but
mm,
and my
mm,
lead said, people don't have to believe what you're saying, but they have
mm.
to believe that you believe what you're saying.
Woo!
Then that makes them become a believer.
Wow, that was awesome. I mean, you remind me of two at atheists that attend a meeting by Dear Moody, and one of them saw each other, and the other one said, Pete, what are you looking right here? And I know you don't believe what this man is saying. He said, well, I don't really believe what he's saying, but I think he believes what he's saying. And I want to hear someone that believes what he's saying. And please, I want to say this to everyone right here now. If you have a friend that need to be right here, send a text message for them to join this meeting. Why? Because you will have an opportunity for asking question live to Dr. Kenisha. And the only people that have that privilege are people that are right here. You have to be in the room and to be able to get that. So I just want to share that. So Dr. Kenisha, you started and hitting up some nerves where we are already heading to
Yeah.
that so what will you say to someone that was about to write a book and right now that they were still having a cold feet that where am I going to start from and all that, what will be your, because this is why we created this forum. I tell
Yeah.
you, this
Yeah.
forum started in May.
Mhm.
People were coming to me, they saw I was writing books that, hey, can you share and I mean what you've learned with us. I said, well, I think I'll be glad to share it, not just with one person, but why don't we have a forum? So the
Yes.
first time we call it the
Mm.
Authors Pentagon. And so five of us, we were meeting. I said, something is not right. Let's open it up to the whole world so that everyone can learn.
Yeah.
And that's why we're doing that. And every month we've been bringing guests. So can you share something? Because I believe we all need inspiration to fulfill
Mm.
our aspiration. And
Yes.
I believe in all honesty, that without inspiration,
Mm.
many dreams are going to experience expiration.
Ooh.
Yeah, because inspiration is the fire,
Yeah.
and we want to offer people all around the world inspiration. So what would be your charge, that's the word, for
Yeah.
people that they have, there's a podcast by the Maswell Leadership, The Book in You. And
Yeah. Yeah.
so And that podcast, so it has been a real resource materials. And we
Uh-huh.
have Dr. Tim Elmo, and
Yeah.
I mean, and they've been doing that podcast, bringing so many things that have helped us in this leadership community. So can you share how will you inspire someone listening to you right now live,
Yeah.
or that will yet listen to this?
Yeah.
How will you inspire them to take the bull by the horn, especially this is a new year? And I believe
Yes.
people are making resolution. I believe resolution is not the solution. The real solution is taking action. So what would be your motivation for someone that say, "Oh, I've procrastinated a long time.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
gonna be the year that
Yeah.
I'm gonna give back
Yeah.
to that dream that I've carried in my heart." So
Yeah. Yeah.
how will you help us to really help that person? Thank you.
Okay, I got it. Let me tell you this. Look into my eyes. Real good. I got these big lashes on. I glued on only this morning. Look into my eyes. You have a message.
Hmm,
You have to believe that.
hmm,
Your message is not to be, oh my gosh, Dr. Kenisha is a great talker. That's not your message.
hmm,
Find your message, but you
hmm,
first have to believe you have it. And I'm
hmm,
telling you, folks, I believe you. I believe you
hmm,
do. I believe
hmm,
every single person. Now, I didn't say every single person should write a book. I believe
hmm,
if you're on here, you should. What I
hmm,
am saying is every single person that has ever been, that is living now, and that will ever be born has a message that needs to be told.
hmm,
Period. So you have to believe that first.
hmm,
Somebody on the other side of you saying yes is on the side saying, please write it. Please. Like, I need that. I'm going through what you went through. Whatever
hmm,
you're writing about, I need those answers. They're
hmm,
literally on the other side, beckoning you to come. But you
hmm,
have to know that you have a message. You
hmm,
have a story. You
hmm,
have value. You,
hmm,
yes, you. Yes,
hmm,
you who think you're too old, you're too
hmm,
young. Well,
hmm,
well, I don't have any money. Who cares? You have a
hmm,
story, you have a message. Let's get it out.
hmm,
We
hmm,
just have to embrace that
hmm,
because there's
hmm,
so many things happening in our head about why we are not enough. I'm telling you, you are enough.
hmm.
How do I
Wow.
know? How do I
Hmm,
know you're enough? Because there were many sperm and eggs that did not populate. So the fact
hmm.
that you are on this earth means that you made it.
Yeah.
We
Hmm.
made it.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
first of all, believe that you have a message because you do. Now, is it
Hmm.
going to take some work to discover it? Yeah, right?
Hmm.
But it's worth it. It is
Hmm.
worth it. And so if you're saying, okay, Kenisha, all right, so I know that I've got the passion, but I'm scared. Do it
Hmm.
scared.
Hmm.
Do it
Hmm.
anyway. Get it
Hmm.
out of you. Even if that just is every day, you're going to open your laptop and you're going to type one word. Or if you're a
Hmm.
writer, like both of our mentor, Papa
Hmm.
John, just write something
Yeah.
out of
Hmm.
your head and
Hmm.
serve this world. And a
Hmm.
way that you can serve this world is by telling your story
Hmm.
through a book, but you've
Hmm.
got to get it out. No excuses. I want
Hmm.
you to think about what book did you read that touched you? And
Hmm.
then what would have happened if that author would not have moved?
Ooh. Hmm.
Ooh.
Hmm. Hmm.
Just stop
Hmm.
it. Just stop for a second. Think on that.
Hmm.
The
Hmm.
very books that have moved and
Hmm.
catapulted your life, you
Yeah.
don't think those authors had the same? Of course they were afraid.
Hmm.
There are
Hmm.
no big I's and little U's. That's
Hmm.
why I wrote this diversity book. This is not
Hmm.
about, can I get as loud as Dr. Kenisha because she's great? I'm okay. What I
Hmm.
have done is tap into my gifting.
Hmm.
So when
Hmm.
you tap into your gifting and to your message and to your story, people will look at you and say, wow, all
Hmm.
they're looking at is what you, listen to me, what was predestined for you, what is
Hmm.
wired in your DNA,
Yeah.
but you've got to put the work to it to get it out. There's got sovereignty, but then there's man and woman's responsibility. Will you
Hmm.
be responsible for the
Hmm.
gifting, for the calling, getting that out into the world for
Hmm.
you that's watching by way of book?
Hmm. Wow.
And
That's
another
awesome.
strategy, Dr. Michael, and then I'll
Hmm.
come back to you, is if you're nervous about writing, how about this? Talk it. There are apps now where you can talk your thoughts that will
Hmm.
translate your thoughts. And then once you see words on paper, it gets a little bit easier.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I know several people that have written books like this. They would tape like little podcasts, not even podcasts, little 2 or 3 minute devotionals. They got those transcribed, put each day into a chapter, and that's how they started writing. Once they
Wow.
saw some words on paper, then it gave them the courage to, whatever you have to do, whatever
Hmm.
strategy that you need that's ethical,
Hmm.
do that, but get the message out. One, you've got a message. Two, believe that you have it. And three, no excuse about getting it out. Either pick up the laptop, pick up the iPad, pick up the pen, or pick up the recording device, speak it, and then let that translate it. And now you've got some courage because you see some words in black and white.
Wow. So I'm an acronym person. That's the way I learn. So I just capture what you just said. Have a message, believe,
Yeah,
and then have no excuse.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know, and that's the thing about it, you know, just like, you know, that's it. You must know that you have a message. Like J.K. Rowling, she got um a lot of rejections. And I believe that's one of the reasons why people doesn't want to write a book. And
Mm.
I was listening to Papa John. Papa John said he wrote 27 books before his book became a bestseller. So that
Mm.
means 27 books that were really unknown. And
Mm.
success is a game of numbers. It's a
Yes.
game of numbers. So one
Yeah.
time I want to ask you, Dr. Kenisha, what is your greatest challenge personally when writing a book? What's your greatest challenge that you want to share? Because I believe we all have a common denominator when you are writing books. So what has been your greatest challenge when you start? Okay, I'm writing, I'm doing this book right now, project.
Uh,
So what has been your greatest challenge? Yeah, thank you.
Procrastination.
Mm,
So once I get the concept, because of how my mind and my brain works, I'm like, okay, I got this to do, this to do. So what I'm telling to you is what
mm,
I tell to my own self, right?
mm,
And then
mm,
once I get started. But I always think, why didn't you just jump in a little bit earlier? Because it was
mm,
there and you were chewing on the message, you were getting the data, you were getting the resources. But sometimes, right, we do this cycle in our own head as to why we can't start. And then we put everything else that's not a
mm,
top priority in front of it because
mm,
we sort of delay the laborious part of the writing, right? Which is
mm,
actually sitting down. So,
mm,
but guess what? I've got 10 out there, so it didn't stop me. So
mm,
even if you're going through that, it's natural, it's normal, but it
mm,
doesn't mean we stop there. You push through it because there's a
mm,
message to get out. Remember, the question is, are we writing to be a bestseller? Are we
mm,
writing to add value? Because if my
mm.
thought is, what if it's not good? What if it doesn't make it? Then of course you're not going to want to write. But if
Mm.
it is, even if I put this out there and I know it may not be my very best, because Papa John also says nothing we do the first time is ever going to be good.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't take it as an absolute, right? But I say that generally. I agree generally. So if I already know that as a concept,
yeah.
let's just go ahead and let's go, baby. Let's get it out and
Mm,
let's get it done. Because I know
mm.
that each time, each iteration of following the same process, I can get better. But if I never
Yeah.
get started and the process is only in my mind, then how
Mm,
can I even grow?
mm,
So
mm.
whatever
That's
your
true.
procrastination is, just
Mm.
start. Just
Yeah.
just just get going. And I
Mm,
promise you're gonna learn while you're, I don't know this, I don't know that. I know you don't know it. Neither did I. But you only get the answers when you get going. There's some answers in life, and especially in writing a book, you only get after you get started.
that was so true. I found that to be true. I remember when I was doing my 10th book, and that book has really been on my heart since, I mean, a while now. And, you know, what really come to me that are you living your dream or living your dream? And I realized a lot of people, instead of living their dream, Living, what
Yeah.
they are doing is Leaving, and and the more they live it, they just become miserable. They go through life. So it was just in me that can I want to give people a blueprint
Mm,
on how to live their dream. Like you said, I don't get everything together, but I just know it's inside of me. So one day
yeah.
I decided to have a podcast on someone's podcast, and that morning I got a blueprint.
Mm,
So, and because I just showed up with that blueprint.
yeah.
Then after that meeting, I went back again, reflect on it, and everything now came up to a whole new level. And that was the biggest book I've ever written until that time. So
Yes.
what you're saying is true. I'm just affirming today. Now we
Yes.
want to go into, we're going to start Q&A in a few minutes. But one question I want to ask you is, have you experienced a writer's block before?
Yeah, so I think with how my writing process has been, no, up to date.
Mm,
Because I don't write books over 6 months or over
mm,
2 or 3 years. So
mm,
it's interesting because my data is gathered, check this out, through life experiences. So
mm,
I don't just write books to write books. If
mm,
if if I'm writing a book, that means I've already been studying because this content has now affected my life. And
mm,
through me having to get up and live, I
mm,
have done the research. So that's sort of been my cycle to it. And really my actual writing process, because again, the way that I write comes literally from my life stories and my passions and the
mm,
type of person I'm always listening to podcasts, reading, researching. So literally that work has been done so that I can process through life. And then I get the idea. And I'm a believer. I heard the Lord say, now I want you to write about fear because this is what
mm,
you've been dealing with. Here's how I've
mm,
delivered you. Now go write about it. My book,
mm,
my book from last year, Winning Within, uh, that book literally came from heaven, right?
mm,
Because it was exactly what I had the season I had come out of. And had I not done the work behind the scenes, you would have
mm,
never had a book. So
mm,
I don't just open the encyclopedia and said, oh, I'm going to write on marriage or
mm,
singleness. Like no, like literally, and that's how it's been up to date. The children's book, right? The children's book came out of my deep experience, 18,
mm,
19, 20, years at the time I released it, of seeing a certain thing. And it's like, wait a second, I have something to say. So then the
mm.
words flowed, if that makes sense. So again, I know that may be different than others, but I don't have years and months like it. In fact, my first adults book from last year, literally, I was on a 3-day fast because God had given me the topic, the
Mm,
ideas, and I vowed to not eat or drink, absolute fast. And literally, that book was written, and then the 3-day fast turned into a 4 to 5 day, 6 day. The other 3 days, I did a juice fast, and that book was written like in 4 to 5 days within that fast time.
wow.
And
Wow.
it was like I could not type fast enough what
Mm.
I was hearing from heaven.
That was a download
The download
from the cloud.
from the
That was a dictation from an eye. That was awesome. And I'm glad you said that because at times, at times we don't want to look spooky by sharing this. I mean, I've experienced that moment, inspirational moment. One night, I was like, I mean, because I had a book in 3 segments.
Yeah,
One night, I did the whole part 3 of it. I was like, and I
yeah,
knew that was not regular,
yeah,
and
yes,
so just to connect, because as many people are hearing this, you may not be a person of faith, but
yeah,
it's real. There's something called inspiration. There's a spirit in man, and the
yes,
inspiration of the Almighty giving them understanding. So there's a place for that inspiration, added to your perspiration to fulfill your aspiration. Yeah.
yes.
So
And Dr. Michael, I knew it wasn't me, but no one was going to get my fingers and put it on the laptop.
yeah,
I had to make a conscious decision
yeah.
to do this. And when I did that, I like my fingers could not keep up with the
Mm,
download that I was hearing. Now, this year's book, it didn't happen like that.
mm.
I didn't feel like it was at 4 or 5.
Have you brought any book out this year? This is a new year.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Oh.
2020. Forget. You're like, wait a second. We're 8 days. I didn't see.
You mean last
Sorry.
year? Okay, it's okay. Yeah.
2024. They
Okay, got you.
in October. So this year, it was a different experience where it wasn't a 3 or 4 day download. It was
Mm,
probably over a process of 3 weeks.
okay.
But because I had just come out of a season of winning within, everything
Mm,
was so fresh. The data was so fresh, but
mm,
there was a little bit of more fight. Check this out. because I already knew that on the other side of this, if someone can get through this winning within, their whole life would
Mm,
change. So I understood the warfare that I was going through, right? I understood why it was like, man, so it wasn't writer's block. It was just like the warfare to sit. This wasn't even procrastination now. This was like,
mm,
this is coming up. This is coming up. I've got to travel here.
mm,
Like what's happening? But
mm,
that one probably took about 3 weeks. And I don't mean 3 weeks every day. I just,
mm.
in the 3 week time period, like I was able to push that out.
Wow, that's awesome. My last question before I open up for Q&A is this. And we're talking about the dream factor today. And the dream factor, just talk about vision. Because everything is created twice,
Yeah.
first in the mind and in the real world.
Yes.
And just like when they were about to commission the Disney World, and it happened that Disney is already dead at that time. And after they gave the speech, and the person giving the speech, they said, "Oh, I wish Walt Disney is alive to see this." So when the
Yeah.
wife came up, he said, "He actually saw this day."
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So the vision factor is the dream factor. That's where everything begins, and you have to have a vision of the book. You have to conceive it in your mind
Yeah.
first,
Yeah.
before it manifests on the
Yeah.
heart. So, and what is your own experience about the dream factor? How has it influenced all your book writing? Talk about the dream factor. Yeah.
Yeah. So the dream factor influences my life.
Mm,
And because that's how I live.
mm,
Right. There's a distinct, so I'm not just trying to get the dream factor for the book.
mm,
Like we should be living lives like this.
mm,
So if I live my life with this dream factor that I visualize, I
mm.
want the best for myself. And my
Yeah.
book, the last one, it's rate your thinking, right? And so it's a 4-step process, and it kind of deals with this. If I now live my life by this notion of I think the best, I want the best, I'm going to add value to this world, then now that translates over to book writing.
Mm,
So I think it needs to just be bigger than just me visualizing it. Like that's what we should be doing as people, because we
mm,
live in a down world.
mm.
And if we want to live up in a down world, we have got to be able to dream. And
Yeah.
part of your message in
Mm,
your book will not translate if you don't even have a dream for your own life,
mm,
because someone's going to pick it up and there won't be any inspiration, right? It's supposed to breathe. Inspiration, inspire is indicative
yeah.
of breath, it's life. So
Mm,
when we understand this notion of the dream factor, and I don't know, oh, there we go on this side, right?
yeah.
And I don't even know. I'm teaching the class on this tomorrow night. Dream big to do big. Like,
Mm,
how do you envision yourself? Because
mm,
out of everything that happens in my vision
yeah.
comes the rest of my life. So me
Mm,
writing 10 books in just a couple of years, that's an outflow of what I
mm,
do under my life. So let's
mm,
expand that, family. Let's not just try to vision the book, although that's a part of it.
yeah.
Let's do that for our lives every single day.
Mm,
What is
mm,
our best life? And the book
mm,
is a part of that. Stop making this book your life. That's the
mm,
problem. You
mm,
think that writing a book is some big deal. It's a
mm.
small part of your big life.
That's
Just
awesome.
about
Yeah.
your big life. And the book
Mm,
is just a part of that.
yeah. Yeah. I'm in 100% support of that, because that separates a philosopher from a practitioner. Because when and that's what I do with all my books. It's a lived out experience.
Yes.
I don't write what I imagine. It's a lived out.
Yes.
And that's why, because that's what would give credibility and authenticity to what you're writing. Yeah. And that's a big part of the dream life. It has to be a life lived every day. It's
Yes.
not something that you're trying to make up. It's something that
Right.
is in your makeup. It's not
Ooh.
something synthetic, it's something authentic.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that is the difference between authentic and synthetic. Synthetic is what you make up.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Authentic is in your makeup. So all
Yes.
we have to be authentic is to wake up to your makeup,
Ooh.
and to connect from within, so that can emerge. And that's what I believe it's all about, is your life being lived. And this is the great one. So we're gonna open up now. If you want to ask Dr. Kenisha a message, your video gotta be on, please, because we want other people to learn from you. So you can use the reaction button to put your hands up, please, but your video gotta be on. to ask Dr. Kenisha a question. So this is a Q&A time for Dr. Kenisha. Please, you have the privilege. Many people are going to listen and from the YouTube, but you have the privilege to hear to ask question live. So if you have any question, please, or if you don't want to turn your video on, you can put it in the chat. I'll ask your question for you. So, but please, we will appreciate if you can put your video on to ask Dr. Kenisha a question. Okay, so we have Dr. Dako. I'll put a spotlight on you to come to the stage to ask the question. So, and Dr. Dako, how are you? He's a surgeon, he's an ophthalmologist, and all the way from Nigeria, and he's also an entrepreneur. So, Dr. Dako, please, can you ask your question? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Kenisha. The area I want to ask is in the area of transition, because from your story, you've had to transit from being an educator to what you are doing presently. And I'm at a stage that I also need to transit. I know that in my mind, and that transition has to take place now. So what are, some tips you can give? I have a lot of ideas of what I want to transit into. It's mentioned I'm an eye specialist, so I've done medicine now for I think about 24 years. Yeah, 24 years now. So it's time for me to transit, and I have ideas of what I want to transit into. I don't have fear about transiting. In fact, I'm so anxious to transit. Some people have fear when they want to transit. I don't have that. It's time for me to evolve into a better me. So what are some tips you can give me and others who may be in that same shoe, looking at how do I transit from being in this field, now I'm going into another field, and how can I make the best of it?
Yeah, so great question. Thank you, and congratulations, right, for whatever that next version of you is. So you need to be in community with other people that are growth-minded people. That is huge. So community, I know you're here today, so I know at least you're with Dr. Michael, right? Who's a great person to connect to, but it's got to be intentional and it's got to be consistent. Then you want to have mentors, like specific one-on-one mentors that preferably you want to have some that know you and have known you that are not impressed by you. And I say that because when we need mentors to not be impressed, we need them to be able to help diagnose, right? So when I transitioned, I had a mentor, my pastors, and then which obviously are people of faith, and then my boss, and I'm not sure that she was a person of faith, and it didn't matter. And I went to them because they knew me best. And I thought, okay, is it time? And I knew that they never fluff my feathers, ever. They're not impressed. They don't fluff my feathers ever, right? So I knew that if they were like, okay, this is resonating with us, and honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't think they would both say yes at the time, because they never had said, and they don't even know each other, right? Can I be honest? They both said, man, it's on you. Like, this is the time. We know it doesn't make sense because there is no job, like, right? There is no husband. There is no money in the bank. There is no nothing. 10 years before. But they both said there's something that's resonating in us about what's resonating in you, and the world needs it. Go after it. So that's another part. Mentors. The third part is, as you're transitioning, really, and you may not be clear at the beginning on what your theme is, right? Like I think that's what you're saying, but start anyway, right? It doesn't matter, because again, we find out as we go, right? I just started talking. I was full-time job, January 7th. Oh my God, it was yesterday. I just made it was 5 years. Normally I remember, I forgot. So January 7th, 2020 was my first mastermind kind of in this space. Didn't really know what I was doing, was super nervous, right? And I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this one. It's only because the Lord told me to do it. And I'm like, well, I don't want to fight with him. So I'll do one class and then I'm out. And so did that. And then as soon as my mouth opened, like something hit my spirit, like, this is what you were born to do. But that's not going to happen before you start walking, right? And then even along the way, what I love about walking on purpose and dreaming big is literally there's a proverb that says that your path will become brighter and brighter until the perfect day. So as we continue to walk, then our path, literally the path unravels. Some of us, we want the 25-page dissertation on the end. You're not getting it. So just get going, get started, and then that begins to unravel. And then I promise you, I speak from experience, not theory. The people who are supposed to be attracted to you, they will come in your world. You're not going to be able to predict it. You're not going to know who they are. And does it even matter? When you connect to your passion and then what the world needs, and then you can deliver that, check this out, from a spirit of service and not status. Because now if this is about going after money, and I'm not saying this to you, but just generally, that's not it. That's not it. If I know that what I'm called to do is to serve the world and a place of significance, then the status comes with that. It's a natural byproduct. But if we're going after the status and not the service, we have it mixed. And that's where the temptations and all sorts of disintegrous things come. And then the last thing I'm going to say is enjoy the journey, because it's a journey. It's a journey. Check this out. The service that you're adding, but the biggest journey, my friends, those of us who are here and those who are watching, it's going to be in you.
Wow.
There are going to be things that come up in you that you didn't know was there.
Wow.
And just stick with the process. And I promise you, all you need is one more get up. I'm going to say that again. All you need is one more get up after you're knocked down. And that's not all I have to say, but that's all I will say for now.
Wow, that's good. You know what? And I believe, Dr. D, you got so much from this. We want your question, please, to be book related, because I know Dr. Kenisha can deal with a lot of stuff, but just for the sake of the time, because we don't have her forever, we have her just for this time. So I'll welcome Coach Terry. Coach Terry, and he's also a master leadership.
I know.
And also he's also a school principal too.
Yes.
So, Coach Terry, your question first, so that we can give other people opportunity to thank you.
Yes. How are you all today? Thank you so much for this. As you know, that I'm pivoting out of education. So how do you market your book and market yourself on the other side of that? Because we're so used to talking children, and instruction. Now we're talking leadership and transformation and things like that. So how do you market your books and make that pivot where people see you as a leadership coach and not as just an educator?
And great
get
question.
Your books out there.
Yeah, so I never marketed my books when I was a principal. And I did that intentionally because I didn't want to be disintegrous, because I knew I had influence. And if I went out and said, oh, I've got my books to my school, they were begging me, come and read. I said, I won't. I won't, because I didn't want my influence as a leader to now make people buy. So again, that was just me personally. For me, that was integrity. So, but I'll tell you what I did do. So I actually just started servicing as a principal. I started doing free masterminds for parents in my district. I asked my superintendent, hey, can I do that? Loved it. And then they started finding out about the books, and then they started promoting, but it wasn't my voice. See what I'm saying? Because I just went to serve. Then my superintendent said, hey, we want you to start, teaching leadership. COVID had happened. It was like this perfect storm. So now we have a full day meeting once a month. I was teaching 2 hours on Zoom, leadership, personal development, diversity, equity. So I just started serving before the transition. So when I transitioned, there was already wait a second, she's not just a principal. This lady believes in growth. Like, she really believes in leadership and growth and adding value. So I would tell you, Coach, just start doing some masterminds for the parents at your school for free. Your school has money to buy those books.
I'm already out. I retired. I'm completely done now.
Doesn't matter. Go back and do it. Right? Go back and do it, because what you're having to do is rebrand yourself. So you know how we say in the Maxwell team, sometimes feed free than to feed.
Yeah.
So you can even do that with your books. So then you're retired, bring those books in, do a mastermind for parents, because the school's never going to say no for something for parents, right? Bring your books in and say, if you come to the so the school will buy their John Maxwell book for the mastermind. Then the school will buy your book. So if the parents come to get educated through a mastermind, they get a free children's book or whatever you have, and then a free John Maxwell book. Schools have money for that. Yes. It's called Title I. And they have a whole lot of it.
Yes,
and they're required to spend a certain percentage on that every
parents,
year.
Absolutely.
On parents. So that can be your end. Service them for free. Don't charge. Get yourself out there like, oh my gosh, coach, he'll do a free class. All we have to do is just buy a couple books. But guess what? It's good on the school district because they want to buy books anyway and give to parents and kids. So that's a way I think you can start getting them. The last thing I'll say, not the only thing, but you can do disc. Again, so if you can do a free disc workshop, the school can buy the disc codes and then buy your book, right? And then if they sign up for the free workshop, then they get a free disc code that the district is paying for, and they get a free book by the trainer that the district is paying for. So now we've got two things happening. Your books are in the market, and you're being endorsed by the school district because they bought your books, and then now you're rebranding yourself as a coach, a trainer, and a leader. Professional.
Wow, that was $100 million advice.
Thank you.
Thank you, Coach Terry. Yeah. Coach Tiffany, do you still want to ask your question?
Hi, yes. First of all, thank you so much. This was amazing.
Oh, where are you? I'm looking for you, Coach Tiffany. Where are you? Yeah. So
Can
we can
put
the spotlight on you. Okay, I got you now. Okay.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much. Again, this was amazing. I really love how you allow your faith to ground you in everything that you're doing. Yes. But I want to ask, like, what are some daily habits that you have in place that lets you execute at this level of excellence that you do, Dr. Kenisha?
So I'm going to be honest with you. It's prayer. And when I wasn't in prayer, my life was like this. And I was still Dr. Kenisha, right? So these last few years, I have now been consistent, not prayer for me to put a check mark, because now it went from my head intellectual knowledge to in my spirit and experience that I need inspiration to breathe. If I'm going to add value by way of talking, book, whatever the value is, I cannot do that in a consistent format that is not going to be prideful if I don't have him. So I'm really clear that you're not looking at this great woman. I mean, I'm okay. But I'm anchored into the one that is higher. And I don't want to go too far because I know this is not a, church, but I'm anchored to one that's higher than me. And literally now, every decision that I make comes from that platform. So that's why with the books that Coach Terry, again, there's nothing wrong if somebody does that. But for me, I could not bring myself working there because I knew people loved me. I knew I had influence. If I say jump, they would jump. So then if I'm bringing my book into the consumers, but again, that was me. And nobody told me not to. I could have. My teachers were begging me, come to the class and read it. They bought it themselves and had it displayed. And I rejected it every single time. I said, I can't. I just can't. So that's where the energy's come from. Now, if you're not a person of faith, you still can have faith. It's better to have faith than fear. Let me just tell you that. Faith in what? Faith in positive. Faith in there's a universe. Faith in this world is big. Faith in, right? We still can have, and in fact, not we can, we do. Because the very chair that you're sitting in right now, you have faith and you sat down in that doggone chair. Because if you didn't think it could hold you, you wouldn't be sitting there.
That's true.
We have faith to drive that our car is going to work because we put our keys in, we turn it. So we all have faith. It's just where is it directed? And then who is it directed in? We all have it though.
Wow, that was awesome. Like I said, Coach Tiffany, she just wrote a book. And what's the title of your book again, Coach Tiffany?
Yes, it is called Excel and Exhale. So
yeah, really, she will be our guest in March.
Reflections for Purposeful Living.
Yeah, really. That was awesome. Yeah. So
give her my number, Dr. Michael. Give her my number so we can talk offline.
I
Don't
will.
give it to her right now.
that was special.
Thank you.
Oh, you just won a jackpot now. Okay. So now I have one more question for Dr. Kenisha. And this question I want to ask is very important. It's a personal question, and because we have that relationship, I can wait on this. I know
Yeah.
you are not against AI. You have nothing against AI, but for you don't use AI. So,
Yeah. Go
uh,
ahead, sorry, sir.
yeah. And for you don't use AI in your writing, book writing, which I really admire because I mean, I call it that is organic. So what advice do you have for someone that want to write a book is considering should I use AI or not
Yeah.
AI? I just wanted to speak freely to this because
Yeah.
this is why we have this bring different people with different
Yeah.
style so that we
Yeah.
all can learn from there's something that that we all need to know. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Great question. So here's the purest answer. I don't have the intellectual knowledge enough about what AI writing is to even be able to make a valid decision.
Okay.
So at this place and point, all I could speak to that is that I don't use it at this space and time. So I don't look at others and say, oh my gosh, you're cheating. Well, maybe I do think that a little bit. I'm just gonna be honest with you, right? Which is why I haven't done it. But in my growth over time, I know don't speak to something before you really know what it's about.
Yeah.
For me, it hasn't been worth it to invest the time to understand it yet. But I'm not saying that that may not come up on me. It just hasn't been my way up to date. So what do I have to say about it? I don't really know what the ins and outs are. I do know people who have used it that I actually admire and trust. I think they're people that are integrous, right? So now it gives me a little bit of hope that perhaps when there's some space opened up, maybe I can bring some more knowledge into myself and see if it's a way to benefit, maybe. But I'm not a hard and fast, absolutely not. I don't use this and it's of the devil because I don't know enough about it to make an educated decision. So that's where I'm at in this space and time. I may be at a very different space, in a year. I may be able to say in a year, absolutely not, absolutely yes. I don't know. So I think you've got to go out there and do what works for you, right? Do the research behind that. And if it resonates with you, if it doesn't go against your value system, then use it. But I cannot endorse it or deny it right now.
Wow, that's awesome. I just and one thing I respect is I haven't known you for a while, and I respect your authenticity, and you're not really afraid to take a stand. That's something I respect about you.
Yeah.
And I just shared that. I just hear and people are saying, "Oh, that was a great question that you asked that," because there's so many conversation about it. And so, Dr. Kenisha, and before you go today, somebody still have a cold feet about book writing.
Yeah.
So I want to put that cold feet into hot water so that the person can leave here and go take action. Because I just realized that a lot of people, just like you saying that, you just have to take action.
Yeah.
You have to start writing, I
Yes.
mean, like Dr. Jomazo always talk about, I mean, how do you write a book? I mean, I mean, one word at a time.
Yeah.
So I wanted to just prime people because procrastination, is the largest nation on earth. And so many people live in that nation. So we want to create a real kind of motivation that will help people to lose their citizenship, as many people that belong to the nation of procrastination.
Yes, I love it.
After today, hearing you on YouTube and all that, they can say, wow, I was still having cold feet. My feet was like minus 50. But after listening to Dr. Kenisha, I think I got warmed up to 70 degree now, to 3 digits. So I just want for that set of people, because a lot of people, they just like the fear of, I was listening to Valerie yesterday, was talking about the fear of failure. What if and someone was telling me today about becoming a bestseller. I said, listen, I don't write a book to be a bestseller.
Right.
I write a book to add value to people. and I leave the outcome to God.
Yes, yes.
God can take a book and make it a bestseller, but your motivation is, do you, like you said, do you have a message?
Yes.
I mean, and if you really have a message, the first book that I wrote was 25 years ago.
Uh-huh.
It's a little book. Because I failed my first professional exam as a medical student.
Yes.
So the passion that no one has ever done this before. So it was
Yeah.
out of that passion that why should people go through this?
Yes.
That I just believe that I can leave something behind that can help upcoming
Yes.
generation. Look at what God did. That
Yes.
same book, the 2.0, came out last. And it was, I had 9 people that collaborated with me that they had distinction in
Uh-huh.
anatomy. 9 of them, they
Uh-huh.
become part. And last year we gave 100 copies of the book to help students still in the system.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So I
yeah.
just wanted to speak to that. This is the last charge that
Yeah.
people that are still, should I, can I not, what about, what if,
Yeah. Yeah.
if is the badge of doubt.
Ooh.
So we should turn that what if to even if.
Mm.
So I just wanted to speak to that set of people. I really believe
Yeah.
this is the good way to close it out.
Yeah,
A
yeah,
lot of
yeah.
people, this 2025 is a year of action. It's a year
Yes.
that they have to, that book has been, just like Coach Tiffany, the
Yes.
book has been with her. She just reached out to me and I
Yes.
just charge her up. I
Yeah.
introduced her to my publisher. The
Uh-huh.
rest is history. She got her first book out. I
Yes.
said, how do you feel about it? I feel great. So I just
Yeah.
want us to help people
Yeah.
that are still sitting on the fence and
Yeah.
to let them know that you can do it. Yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
Kenisha, yeah.
So I'm going to give you an analogy.
Mm,
You have a weapon in your hand,
mm,
and either that weapon's going to be used, check this
mm,
out, and I'm going to get a little graphic,
mm,
to murder your dream,
mm,
or that weapon is going to be used to birth a dream that's going to have many other people birth their dreams.
mm,
It's one or the other.
mm,
And you decide what the weapon is and how it's used. That's how serious living in our purpose is.
mm,
Like we literally are killing our own dreams and they die inside of us.
mm,
Do we want to be responsible
mm,
for aborting our own dream because we were afraid?
mm,
Or will we use that weapon to birth our dream? And check this out. That weapon, that book is going to solve someone else's problem. Now they're going to pick up their weapons because the weapon is not to hurt anybody. The weapon is to help them. And it's for them to get out of their pain. But you remain in pain and they remain in pain because we're not using the right weapon in the right way. So if we think of this as a life or death matter, it changes the whole conversation.
Wow, wow, that is really awesome. It was Victor Hugo that says to die is nothing. He said not to live is terrible.
Ooh.
Yeah, because it's just like, a lot of people just like, no, the greatest tragedy in life is not death, but life without a purpose.
And check this out.
Yeah.
And a woman cannot keep a baby in her body. If a woman keeps a baby in her body, lest the baby doesn't come out, she will die.
Yeah.
That's what happens with purpose. When purpose, we may not die a physical death, but every day there's a little piece of us that falls off. Because that baby of purpose, of writing that book, of adding value to the world, is growing and growing and growing. And there's a stillborn because we did not just deliver.
Wow.
We don't know what that baby looks like until it comes out. Who cares? Wow. You love it because it's yours. And you delivered it because you created it.
Wow, that's great. Dr. Kenisha, it's been a real. Can you everybody put in the chat today what has been your experience today with Dr. Kenisha? Please put it in that chat. What has been your experience? Someone said you were putting a medical analogy. Yeah. Because that was the way. When you don't live your dream, you are a murder. MURDER. But when you live your dream, you are a mother, MOTHER. because you are bringing something. You know, Deborah said, I, Deborah, arose a mother in Israel. So when you rise up to fulfill your dream, you become a mother. A mother is someone that gives birth to something. But as long as you are sitting down, you are a murderer. You are killing your dream. And that was the real thing in life. So please don't just go out of this place. I believe if you are here live, if you are listening to this, it's because there's a baby in you that is crying for expression. And
men too.
I meant to, yes, there's a baby in you. I mean, because a mental womb is where the book comes
Yes.
from. Book
Yes.
doesn't come from your uterus. It's come
Yes.
from your mind. Your mind is a womb. You know, that's why we call that about a brainchild. Your mind is the womb. True book comes from. Yeah, and Dr. B, I would like you to help us to say thank you to Dr. Kenisha today. Dr. B is one of the 5 people that we started this, and she's one of the great team leader, one of our great team leader in the LAM Global Community. Can you just help us to say thank you to Dr. Kenisha?
Wow, 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 Dr. Kenisha, you always bring it in. Thank you so much for taking time to be here today, to pour into us, to invest into us. I know that I have been pregnant with this book for 10 months, which is abnormal. And so it is time to deliver. So thank you for taking time. Thank you for encouraging us. Thank you for giving us the clarion call. Thank you for pushing us. And thank you for midwifing us so that we're giving birth to all these things that God has put into us today. We really appreciate you. I also want to appreciate Dr. Koku, who is the Chief Visionary Officer of this work. Thank you for always encouraging us, pushing us to be the best that we can be. And thank you everyone for joining today. We really appreciate you. Spread the word and don't let this die here. Let your baby jump. She's spoken the voice like John the Baptist when jumped in Mary's womb. When Elizabeth heard the voice of Mary, let your baby jump and let that baby come out. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much. It's been a great